Hey everybody, welcome to another reading vlog. In this week's reading vlog, I'm going to be reading two books from what I consider to be the most hyped paranormal romance author and historical romance author. So this is Future Crystal at the end of the reading vlog, coming in and putting this intro in. When I started this video, I was just going to do just a regular weekly reading vlog, but as the week progressed and my reading progressed, I realized that I was really just focusing on two books, and that is A Hunger Like No Other by Kresley Cole and Again the Magic by Lisa Kleypas. And so this vlog is basically me talking about my feelings and reactions to both of these books while I'm reading them one after the other. And I thought it might be a fun video to see what I think about these two very hyped romance authors in two very different subgenres. And so, yeah, that's the intro to this vlog. We're gonna go ahead and let you see what I think about these books. Hi, hello, good morning. So, I wanted to update you on the book I read last night. Well, I didn't read it all, but I started it. I started A Hunger Like No Other by Kresley Cole. I know this is an iconic paranormal romance series, and I had never read it. The whole series is called Immortals After Dark. In our Sarah McLean chat on Instagram, they kept referencing IAD. All the girls in there were talking about IAD, and I was like, oh, but what is that? I didn't say anything until finally I was like, okay, what is IAD? And they were like, what? You don't know what that is? And then we decided we would do a read-along. So we're doing a group read-along. I am obsessed with this series. I am like 20% of the way in. I'm on chapter 8, and it is so addicting. Like, this is one of the most addicting books that I have ever read. Like, I can't stop thinking about it. I just want to keep reading it. It is very good. But, that being said, oh, you know, this was written in the early 2000s, alpha heroes abounding, very alpha, much alpha, all of the alphas. If that's not something you like, don't read this book. Also, much issues with consent, lots. And I was warned about that before I went in, so, like, even some people suggest starting at book 4 because it gets better at that point, like the consent issues and things like that. But I really wanted the whole experience, and I just thought, I'll try this. I really did not think I was going to love it. I really didn't. And granted, it's still early, but I kind of love it. So I've never read Kresley Cole before. Her writing is really great. I don't know, it's one of the most readable, can't put down books I've read in a really long time. Like, I want to do nothing today except for just sit and read, but I have to work. Yeah. It's so good. This doggo, you guys. This doggo. And then I didn't get much read into Again the Magic. I don't even think I got past the first chapter. I'm on page 8. I don't feel like I have read enough to give my opinion about this. 8 pages in is nothing. Like, it's fine. But yeah, I don't know, man. I probably am not going to read this today. Honestly, I'm probably just going to read A Hunger Like No Other until it's done, because that's what I want to read. I'm going to just work and stay home and think about A Hunger Like No Other until I can read it again. Okay, I'll check in later. Where's Cousin? He's so crazy. I really need to do something about these shelves. Like, I feel like they're just so crowded. Don't mind me. Hey, you can't bite that. Hi. Do I have my sweatshirt on backwards? Yes, I do. There. I fixed it. Don't worry. Okay, I wasn't going to do a reading update today because I almost felt a little slumpy, you know? Like, I picked up my Lisa Kleypas book last night, and I read a little bit more of that. I think I'm like 4 or 5 chapters in now. I'm really liking it, but I am not I'm not really hooked yet, you know? Like, I feel like Lisa Kleypas is very hyped, and I really want to see if that hype is well deserved. So, I am trying not to look at this very critically because I just want to be swept away in the story, and I haven't yet, but I also recognize it's still pretty early. But I am liking it. Am I loving it? Not really. But you know what I am loving? This paranormal romance with the alpha males and the dubious consent. Yeah, I'm loving it. It's freaking amazing. Honestly, like, oh my gosh, you guys. I love this book so much. So, I never really summarized what this was about. So, we have werewolf male, half vampire female, and they have the mate concept. So, they're mates, but they don't use that word as often as SJM does, so you can't play a drinking game with this book. I don't at all want to say that the consent issues in this book are justified, because that is never justified. So I'm not going to even say but with that. It's not justified. It's a problem. We should not be glorifying that. Period. The consent does get better throughout this book. We see our main character, I can't even remember his name because I get on camera and my brain goes, I looked it up. So our main character, the werewolf's name is Lachlan, the female is Emma. I'm sorry, I'm like this. And I forgot what I was going to say. So the consent issues do get better throughout the book. I'm a little over halfway through right now, and we definitely see their interaction become more, like, he becomes more concerned about her feelings and asking her how, and I know that sounds like, duh, yeah, of course he should be concerned about her feelings, but hear me out here. He was, you know, confined in prison for hundreds of years. He wakes up, smells his mate, doesn't know who she is, goes to find her, and they end up meeting and traveling together. He does kind of kidnap her a little bit, so she doesn't really want to go with him, and she is definitely a little afraid of him. So I don't know how to talk about this in a way that I don't want to glorify it at all, but I also want you to know that you see his character grow and become less controlling and less demanding of her and more concerned with her feelings and her needs. And part of that is because she keeps telling him, you're not giving me choices, you're not concerned about my feelings, and he's listening to her. But the other part of it is also that his feelings are growing for her and developing for her. So it's not just a fated mate bond anymore, it's that he's really growing to love her, this half vampire who he is forbidden to love and should kill on sight, you know. And let me just tell you that I love it, and I love it, and I just want more. I want all of it. I want all of it. I just love it. I don't know. That's it. That's all I got. And there are some scenes throughout the book. We have this really tough guy, hard alpha. You get to watch him become soft for his woman. It's just beautiful, and I love it. And it's a favorite trope of mine. Not the alpha trope, but to see this hard, you know, angry man just become a soft little biscuit for the woman he loves is just chef's kiss. Wonderful. I love it. 10 pizzas on a scale of how many pizzas you want to eat. It's 10 pizzas. It's just so good. Like, there are some scenes when she gets injured and he's so concerned about her, and he is being so tender and so careful with her and trying to make sure that he doesn't hurt her at all with all his powers and strength. And there's this one very descriptive scene where he gently lifts a curl of her hair up and puts it on top of her so that, I mean, she's like passed out because she's hurt, right? So that he doesn't shut the car door on her hair. And I just thought that was just the best, sweetest, tenderest moment, and I just loved it. So, I don't know. This is a very, like, explosive. It is very action-packed, but there's also really a lot of character development and character interaction, and it's just so freaking good. Like, I love it. It's good. I love it. So, yeah, that's what's happening. You should let me know what you think about this. Like, I don't even know. Anyway, okay. Let me know your thoughts about what I just said. You know, the usual. So, I finished A Hunger Like No Other. This is a wild book, you guys. Let me just tell you. Where do I even begin? I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. This was so addicting. This was incredibly addicting, fun to read. It was so entertaining. It was super fun. I honestly just loved the reading experience of it. I did come across a scene last night that bothered me. I'm not going to go into detail of one because it's pretty spoilery, but it unsettled me enough. I can't give this book a 5-star rating. I personally am not necessarily against a possessive alpha hero. I kind of like that. I think it's fun to read. When I last updated you, they hadn't quite yet come together, you know? She was kind of resisting him, even though she was still having feelings for him, and he was kind of backing off about pressuring her and like forcing her and not letting her have her own choices. And it seemed like they were just kind of at a stalemate, you know? And then, oh, and this trope, this bugs me so much. So, the fated mates trope, I can get behind it. As long as it's not too, like, I hate it when the focus on the fated mates trope is all about fate bringing them together. I hate it when the reason for them to be together is cosmic, supernatural, this powerful feeling. They don't know what it was, you know, like, it cheapens it for me, and it makes it feel less romantic and less enjoyable, and I just don't really like it that much. And so I was kind of hoping that we would stay away from that, because obviously that's a draw. The whole thing is about fated mates, right? That's a big issue with Immortals After Dark, and I like that trope when it's done well, but I just didn't really want that to be the number one thing that finally made her want to be with him, you know? Like, I would have enjoyed it so much more if they felt those pulls, the fated mate pulls, but if it was overrode by just actual feelings. And I don't know, it was a little disappointing. I don't know. I'm so torn about this concept. So here's why I don't like it. I don't want to rely on, it's the same reason why I hate books that rely purely on attraction. And it's not that I don't like attraction, it's when they make the attraction the force and they act like that's love, right? And that's the same reason I don't like the fated mates concept, is because they act like the fate, the cosmic, you know, whatever that brought them together, they confuse that as love, and I just don't like that. I want real love, and I mean, yeah, I want attraction too, and I like the fated mates too, but I don't want that to be the source of love, because it's not like that. And I get that I'm reading about werewolves and vampires, and like, how realistic can it be? But I definitely feel like if it's gonna make an impact on me, if it's gonna be a favorite book of mine, it has to have that powerful emotional connection in it. And it did. This book did. But I just didn't like how she went 1 minute from kind of hating him and being pissed at him while also like feeling this drawn attraction to him, which I feel like we can all agree we felt that in real life at some point or other, right? But we're not stupid enough to act like that feeling is love right there. I mean, YA gets, you know, steamrollered for that all the time, because people do that in the books and then they're like, oh, it's insta-love. And that's the same thing that's happening here, only it's just a different name. So, I don't know. I was hoping for that moment when she realized she wanted to be with him to be more of her choice instead of, and she does choose it, but it almost seems like it's like forced upon her by the fated mates concept. This was my same problem with Angel's Blood too. Like, I don't like that being the only thing. I feel like it has to be layered. It has to have levels. It can't purely be about this cosmic, you know, whatever, attraction, mystical, fated mates, he's so beautiful, she's so beautiful, like, that, I want that as a part of it. Like, I want that as an ingredient, but then I also want, like, them, like, other layers on top of each other. Like, that is the ultimate for me. So, whenever I find that, it's 5-star. This wasn't going to be a 5-star anyway because of the consent issues and one scene in particular that left me feeling like, I don't know about that. But based on just how enjoyable it was and how fun it was, and I really feel like it was very well written, I'm 4-star for sure. Like, I really liked it. I'm gonna keep reading the series. I have
Hi, puppy.
I have books 2, 3, and 4 coming, so I'm definitely going to keep reading. I really, really enjoyed it. That's just a personal pet peeve of mine that I just don't like. And I feel like every single time, every single time I do a vlog, that comes up, this issue for me. In a lot of cases, I love the fated mates concept. I love the idea of that there's one person out there just meant for you, you know? But I also want, especially the female character, I want her to have a lot of agency and a lot of choice, and I want her to have a decision that she makes. This is the man I want, you know? I don't want it to just sort of magically happen and she's like, yeah, I guess, you know, like, he's perfect. I don't know. So I guess it comes back to, I like strong feminist characters, and I don't want it to just seem like that choice is taken away from her because they were overruled by attraction, or it was some cosmic mythical, they couldn't help themselves type of thing. You know, that is really the issue for me, is that I want my characters to have a strong sense of agency and choice and decision making. That's what I want to see. That's what makes it enjoyable. And I love female characters like that. I feel like we need more female characters like that, where they take action and they make the decision and they do it, you know? Anyway, there was my rant. So I don't mean to sound overly negative about this book, because this book, it's got a lot of negative reviews. Like, a lot of people won't even read past the opening scene, and I totally get that, but I really thought it was a fun, very enjoyable book. And then issues get better, right? And I'm not excusing it. I really liked it. It was really good, and I'm kind of sad because I don't have it to listen to anymore or read. So next up on the agenda, I'm gonna finish that Lisa Kleypas book, because I have to know if she is a top tier author for me. You know, everybody loves her, everybody talks about her. My experiences in reading her before has been one book before and this one, and she hasn't really been that for me, so I'm hopeful. We'll see. So I was literally just complaining that I didn't know what to read. I didn't have anything to read because every time I turn the camera on, because the rest of the series didn't get here. But look what just showed up. I'm so excited. I didn't get the paperback for the first one because it has the older cover, and I don't really like the older cover, but also I didn't want to get that and then have mismatched covers, because that really drives me nuts. Does that drive you nuts? I hate it when they change books in a series. Like, even this one, I think this is the second one. I don't know. I'm new to this. I don't know which is which, but it's like shiny and the rest are matte. Aren't they cool covers though? I like them. So I'm excited now. I can keep reading. But I actually will read Lisa Kleypas probably, because I'm going to read that one first. But I have these, so maybe this weekend. We'll see. How's this for real professional vlogging? I really want to dye my hair again. See? This is the before. It's a semi-permanent hot red. It's not going to do anything to my roots. It's just going to brighten up the color, and then I'm going to do my roots maybe Sunday. So here's the before. Hi, so here's the finished product, and I don't even know why I put that in. I was going to like have this little montage of me dyeing my hair, and then I would talk to you about the books I'd been reading, and I thought that would be fun, but I had never used this color before, and I feel like it just made my hair more dark, and I wanted it to be like bright fuchsia, magenta, like not like a neon, but you know, like bright like it was before. So yeah, that didn't work out. Do you like these rainbows? Okay, let's talk about books. I wanted to talk a little bit about A Hunger Like No Other, because I started listening to the Fated Mates podcast that Sarah McLean does, and they go into like a deep dive of this whole series. This will really help you to like see the author's motivation and to understand Lachlan, specifically the male character's actions. And it was so good. It was such a good listen. It really made me think about things differently. And I love this podcast. If you love romance at all, you probably know about it. But if you don't, go listen to it because it's fabulous, because she really breaks down and dissects the things in romance books that make them powerful. And it's just, I just loved it so much. And it's so nice to talk to somebody that is an expert in their field, because Sarah MacLean is my favorite historical romance author by far. She's my favorite. I love her. She's a freaking queen. And it's really nice to hear her point of view about romance books and how important they are, and how they're not just, you know, even when I go watch other videos on YouTube, I always see at least one comment on someone else's video. Someone is talking about, like, joking about romance and how it's stupid, and I'm just like, it just grinds my gears, you know? So this podcast was so worth it, and she brought up something interesting. Like, I've been thinking a lot about how I said I don't really like the fated mates concept, and that's not entirely true, but it also kind of is. I guess you could say that's a trope that doesn't usually work for me, and Sarah said that it doesn't usually work for her either, and one of the reasons it doesn't is because you usually never see the female character experience the fated mate pull. It's usually only the male character who does. And I thought that was really very interesting, you know? So it made me reevaluate my feelings for when Emma and Lachlan finally came together, and really consider, was she being affected by the fated mate, or did she actually make the choice to be with him? I really can see that she made that choice to be with him. So, I don't know. I'll tell you one thing. This book has been a game changer for me. I have not stopped thinking about it. I have loved reading it. It's so good. And Kresley Cole, she's just a fantastic writer. Like, she is able to put so much characterization and so much growth in these characters. It's just incredible. Sophie was talking about it in our group chat. I'll link her Instagram down below, but she was saying how it's really hard to believe that at the end of the book, Lachlan, the male character, is the same person as he was in those first 50 pages, when you kind of really hate him and don't know if you're going to keep reading the book. And I think it's just a testament to what an amazing writer Kresley Cole is, that she built that characterization so much, you know? Anyway, I've talked about this book so much, and I'm probably not going to stop because I'm going to keep reading them, but I just wanted to share that because, you know, listening to Sarah's podcast and then talking in the group about my feelings about it, I kind of feel like maybe I'll reconsider that, and I still think it's a 4-star book, but it's a really good 4-star book, you know? I don't know. Loved it. Can't wait to read the next one. So now for Lisa Kleypas update. So I am still reading Again the Magic, and I am really getting just soaked into this beautiful world that she's making of this Regency with McKenna and Aline. It's a slow building story, but there's details everywhere. It's really beautiful, and we're getting to the point now where McKenna and Aline, they split apart when they were like 19, and now they're coming back together as adults like 12 years later, and you can see so much longing between both of them, and has come back to ruin Aline because of what happened when they were younger. So he's got a revenge plot against her, but you can still see so much longing. So I am very excited about this book too. I feel like I'm gonna love it. I hope. I feel like I get to this point when I get excited and I want to come talk to you about the book, and then something happens and I'm like, well, it wasn't quite perfect, you know? Anyway, I'm liking it a lot. It's beautiful. So, gonna keep reading that, so I'll check in with you later.
Your wings in the sky tonight. I'm sitting on.
Hello, friends. So I didn't update you yesterday because I'm still trying to talk about this book, Again the Magic by Lisa Kleypas. Still trying to formulate what I want to say about this book, and I feel like I am a little over halfway. I'm nearly finished. I could finish this in probably an hour or two. And I want to say, I really am loving this book. It is so beautiful, and it really gives me a Downton Abbey feel, like especially the way that she writes in the characters and how she describes the manor house and the servants, especially. It has that feel to it, which I really, really enjoy, and especially because McKenna himself was a servant, I feel like there are so many levels to characterization in this book, and it's just a subtly beautiful look at this aristocracy and the people who live there and how it affects all of them. And so many times while reading this, I sort of just feel like this pang in my heart. These were servants, they were paid. It's different than like Beverly Jenkins, where you're talking about slaves, but it just really is heartbreaking to see how so many people's circumstances are limited merely because of how they were born. So let's get back to the romance of it. I feel like Lisa Kleypas is an incredibly gifted writer at portraying emotion very, very subtly. Like, I feel like there are some of my favorite scenes in this book so far were subtle interactions between McKenna and Aline, and almost just like a glance or a look that was exchanged, and she gives like 2 sentences devoted to the feelings from both perspectives. And there was one scene in particular where they just touched, like he rubbed a finger down her hand or something like that. Just something really subtle that was just so powerful. And I eat that up. I love that. I love that so much when you can convey so much wanting and desire and emotion from such a small, simple gesture, you know? Like, I've talked a lot about 2005 Pride and Prejudice scene where Mr. Darcy holds Elizabeth's hand to help her into the carriage, and I feel like that is in this book so much. You also have some scenes with more heat too, but it's those subtle ones that I love the most because I feel like it it is much more powerful. I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like when a writer can create that type of emotion through such a simple gesture, that is a writer that I want to read more of. And I feel like she also, something else that I feel like Lisa Kleypas does really, really well, she's very thoughtful about the words that she uses. She's very deliberate about word choice, and I love that and I appreciate that. While there are some passages in here that I feel like are a little bit over descriptive, once you get further into the story, it never was wasted words, you know? It was always setting the scene, setting the stage, setting the emotion, and I just love that. I definitely can see why she is such a well-loved writer. I really am enjoying this book. At this point where we're at, he's trying to put his revenge plot into action against Aline, who sent him away when they were teenagers. You know, he was a servant in her home and she was a lady, and you know, so they could never be together. Something happened and she ended up sending him away, and he's always resented her for that and has come back to get his revenge. So the interesting thing about that I really like and appreciate is how conflicted he is. Like, I love that. I love seeing characters with a lot of confliction and really having to struggle to make a choice and really having to struggle with their actions that they're making. And that's where he is right now, where he's starting to kind of decide if he's doing the right thing, and also kind of gauge that against his feelings. Like, he's sort of suppressed them, that he doesn't have feelings for her, and it's very clear to the reader that he does have feelings for her, but he's still kind of fighting it. And Aline, she's just such a wonderful, she's also interesting because I feel like she's very fragile on the outside. You know, she has some health struggles from an accident, so she appears outwardly almost weak. Not weak, even when she's walking, she's portraying almost like a queenly elegance, you know, like that quiet, subtle power, but she does have that outward fragility to her. But inwardly, she's very strong and very fiery, and I feel like there's so much depth to her character and to McKenna's, and it's just so freaking good, you know? It hasn't quite hooked me like A Hunger Like No Other did. I feel like that book was one book I just could not put down unless I absolutely had to. Whereas with this one, I find myself putting it down and doing other things throughout my day, but also always thinking about it, you know? So it's a very different reading experience, and I feel like it's really interesting that I paired these two books together because they are so different in how they make you feel. They both are powerful at creating a really visceral reading experience, like you're there, and I just love that. So I'm really excited to see how this plays out. I love this book. I think it's beautiful. I can't wait to see it end. I really, really am enjoying it. So I'm gonna go finish this, and then the next clip you see, I'll just be wrapping everything up. Well, I finished Again the Magic by Lisa Kleypas, and oh my gosh, you guys, this is a 5-star book. This is a magnificently beautiful, heartbreaking, emotional, romantic, perfect book. Honestly, I absolutely loved this book. I feel like there are very few criticisms that I could give to this. So a lot of the things that keep them separate are internal struggles that they both have. And so there are some points in the book where it just gets to be so much that I want to be like, stop being an idiot, you know? But it also makes sense in that that's how that character would behave, you know? So it doesn't feel like it's just a trope to keep them apart. It feels very true to their character. I just barely finished reading this. I was in the bath and then I dried my hair and put on a nice shirt for the intro to this video. But literally, as I was reading the last 20 pages, I was just sobbing. This is one of the most beautiful love stories that I have ever read, and I can absolutely say that Lisa Kleypas is 100% worth the hype. The people that love this book, they're not wrong. It's oh my gosh. If you haven't read Lisa Kleypas yet, and you would like to, especially her historical romances, please start with this book. I think this is the perfect starting point for Lisa Kleypas, and I kind of feel like I wish I had started with this instead of Lady Sophia's Lover, because this was just a freaking masterpiece. This was perfection, lovely, beautiful historical romance. It just, that ending, oh, that ending was, you know, everything I wanted. And you know, I talked a little bit about in one of my other reading vlogs when I did the 3 new to me historical romance authors about I was waiting for that big emotional payoff at the end, you know, and I didn't feel like I quite got that, but this one gave me that, everything I wanted in an emotional payoff. Like, I really, when last time I talked to you, I was really liking it, and I was really loving the beautiful, soft, slow, atmospheric feel of it, and I was very aware of what a stellar writer she was, like just her craft, you know? But there was a little part of me that hadn't quite connected to it emotionally like I wanted to and like I had heard other people experience. So I was a little nervous going into the ending. I was really, really hoping I would get that big emotional payoff, and oh, I did. Like, oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite books of the year. This is one of my favorite romances ever. This book is beautiful and amazing, and I'm probably not going to stop talking about it, so get ready to hear more about this in future videos. It was just fantastic. Chef's kiss, 10 pizza award, 20 pizza award. Let's give this one two pizza awards for being the best pizza. I feel like I didn't talk about this one as much as I talked about the Kresley Cole book, and I feel like a lot of that is because there's just so dang much to unpack with Kresley's book, you know? There's so much going on there, and so much happening, so much to discuss, really. But the thing that I really find interesting about both of these books is that we have 2 female heroines who are very soft in a lot of ways. You know, I think that we typically go into paranormal romance and we expect it's stereotypical for the heroine to be a tough baddie and to really be like a fighter and tough as nails, and Emma in A Hunger Like No Other is really not like that on the surface level. You know, she's very soft, she's a little timid, she's very fragile, you know, and then as the book progresses, we see her just really get that spine of steel and become a warrior like she wants to be. And I feel like you could say the same thing about Aline, because we see Aline start out as such a young character who is just absolutely in love with McKenna, and then through the years, when we get to the end of her character, we see that fragility that we see after her accident is still there, but she has developed such a inner strength, you know, and I just felt like they're just 2 wonderful female characters, and I just love them. And oh, I really loved Lachlan, I'm gonna say. Like, when I finished reading A Hunger Like No Other, I thought this is my new favorite hero. And then we get McKenna, and he just, man, You know, when I said my favorite thing is to see a strong, powerful, hard male character just turn into a soft little biscuit for his woman. Oh, that is McKenna like times 10. That's just my favorite thing. This book, oh, it was just so great. So, to wrap up this reading vlog, I really enjoyed both of these books. They were just wonderful, wonderful, so fun to read. I just loved both of them. I definitely think that, again, The Magic was my favorite of the two. It was by far just the superior romance book. It was just wonderful. I've said that word so much. It was fantastic. It was perfect. Like, you can't get better than this. It was amazing. But I definitely feel like A Hunger Like No Other is worth the read. That was a great book too. Had its problems, sure, but just really well done. So anyway, that brings this this vlog to an end. Let me know your thoughts if you've read either of these two books, or if maybe I've inspired you to pick one of these up. I'd love to hear that. This was a ton of fun. I loved everything I read. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in my next video. Bye.